Good morning. Europe must re-industrialise to become more self-sufficient and less dependent on third countries for energy and key raw materials, so the Prime Minister said yesterday. Pedro Sanchez said after talks with the Cypriot president in Cyprus that Europe needs to be strategically autonomous, especially in the wake of Russia's war in Ukraine. Sanchez said this push towards less reliance on others for defence, as well as high-tech hardware such as semiconductors and microchips, doesn't mean regression to a state of economic protectionism. Sanchez also called a reduction on coal use in energy generation an absolute priority for Europe, as well as balancing out the cost of energy between producers and consumers. Both leaders agreed to seek out alternative energy routes, as well as nudging forward the EU's pivot towards green energy. Two alleged British hitmen accused of shooting a man to death in Mijas have been released before the trial has even started. The defendants had travelled to Spain only to commit the murder, according to the Public Prosecutor's Office, which, although it asked for a 22-year prison sentence, agreed to release them from prison after posting bail of €20,000. The victim, who was 39 and of British nationality, was married and had a young son. The prosecution's brief states that a settling of scores allegedly took place between members of rival drug gangs in Salford, just outside Manchester. The accused then arrived in Spain on November the 11th, 2019, with the aim and purpose of taking the victim's life. 2 days later, one of the accused travelled with his alleged accomplice to Mijas, where the victim lived. On November the 21st, the accused parked near the gym the victim used. When he emerged and got into his own car to return home, the suspect sprayed his car with bullets. The man died almost immediately from 8 gunshot wounds to the chest. The two suspects were arrested in 2020. In addition to 22 years prison, the prosecution is also seeking compensation of €150,000 for the victim's family. Nearly 800,000 people are on the waiting list for operations, setting a new record high for having to wait for surgical care, so the Health Ministry said yesterday. Since this January, more than 86,781 people have joined the waiting list. That's a rise of over 12%. And the northern part of Menorca was hit by a small tornado generated by a strong hailstorm yesterday, a weather phenomenon known as a magna marina. The rare event was observed from different points of the coast. According to local reports, the worst consequences were felt in Es Mercadal. The town centre of the municipality also suffered a power failure. Formed by air currents spinning at more than 100 kilometres an hour, the small tornado lasted some 10 minutes. In October 2018, Menorca experienced the most destructive such tornado in living memory. It caused considerable damage and left a large part of the island without any electricity for 2 days. That's the latest from TRE. I'm Bob James.